Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
But yeah, that's how it went from there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how long were you with USA Mortgage?
We were there from 08 to 16. We left in 16 for 2 years and came back. And really, that was the defining moment in what has shifted my life, was 2016. Because when we left USA Mortgage, we were a decent sized branch, probably about 30 people, 30 LOs, between staff and LOs. And we were struggling to grow because it was a very St. Louis based, Missouri based company. Mm-hmm. And so USA Mortgage is market share, 10% market share, which is a lot of market share in any one city. Mm-hmm. And so it was really hard to grow because I'm basically competing with myself. I'm competing with my colleagues, right? And so we were struggling to grow. The president of the company didn't have a good solution for us. I got hit at the right time by a national company. And so we decided to make a move. But when we made that move, the first thing I thought to myself, and I told my partner, it was just two of us at the time, I said, the one thing we got to figure out when we leave, and we went to a company called Supreme Lending, which was much bigger. Mm-hmm. I said, now we're bringing a new name to market. And now my colleagues are my competitors. Mm-hmm. How am I going to differentiate and how am I going to bring a new name to market? And this is right about the time Facebook Live was becoming a thing. Mm-hmm. Nobody knew what to do with it, but it was a thing. And I was watching a real estate agent in my market do these things called coffee talk. Mm-hmm. And so again, mind you, this is 2016 when Facebook Lives were people just going live at their kids' ball game. Like we didn't know what to do with it yet.
Right.
I thought this guy was onto something. I'm like, I like what he's doing. And I sit and watch him sit in his kitchen and talk about nothing. Mm-hmm. And so I decided, I'm going to lean in. And I thought to myself, what is my number one competitor? His name's Ron Mueller. He's now the president of USA Mortgage, by the way. And I said, what will he not do? And I was like, video. There's no way in hell Ron get in front of camera. He's too timid. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that's going to be my shtick. And video led to social as my vehicle, of course, Facebook at the time, which led me to getting introduced to some people in Chicago, which led me to getting introduced to a video editor who was doing green screen at the time. Mm-hmm. The short story is this. I was doing Facebook Lives and boring myself. I was doing mortgage stuff. Let's walk you through the office. Let me show you the new build out. Let me talk. We have an underwriter. And I was just, right. And I was like, this can't be good. And it was working at the time because nobody else was doing it. Right. Mm-hmm. But I met this video editor who was a green screen video editor, off the wall, super outlandish personality. And he entertained the hell out of me. And I'm like, how can we make this stuff fun for mortgage? And so we gravitated to each other. Anyways, I started doing the way I describe it is I was doing TikTok before TikTok existed. Okay. And didn't realize it. Like I was doing the parody stuff, the outlandish stuff, the random stuff, just to kind of have fun. Mm-hmm. But what happened was it got me found by accident. And I actually got found, ironically, by Sam Karamian, who's one of the founders of Big Block Realty based out of San Diego.
Sam's a good buddy of mine. Yeah. He's been on this podcast.
Great buddy of mine as well, still to this day. And he found me because he was starting a real estate mastermind called Closing Table. Yeah. And he invited me to come out. And I said, why would you want me, a lender? Like this is, real estate stuff. He goes, yeah, you got introduced to me by a guy named Mike Cuevas. You might know Mike. Mm-hmm. And he goes, Mike swears by you. And so he's like, I want you here because this is a new mastermind. It was a new concept, which is now mainstream stuff. Right. But he's like, you're doing stuff that nobody else is doing. I think you could bring value to the room. Mm-hmm. And so I went out to this mastermind, felt like this big in the room, literally. And honestly couldn't afford to join the mastermind. It was 25 grand to join.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember calling my partner, and my wife came with me because he did these at very fancy. We were doing it in Laguna Niguel at the Ritz-Carlton. So, yeah, so I brought my wife. I'm like, let's make a trip out of it. And but I remember going to her saying, I can't afford this, you know, like we can't afford this right now. And I remember my partner saying, well, if your gut says do it, we'll figure it out. And so Sam, actually, they worked with me, and I put it on a credit card, $5,000 a month for 5 months, joined. And that was a real game changer for a couple of reasons. One, that's where I met Tristan. Tristan Ahmad. I met Tristan at closing table because he was a guest there. And we ended up becoming good friends, and since have done a lot of things together. But that first mastermind, part of the reason I went, they were having a speaker there. His name was Jesse Itzler. A lot of people know who Jesse Itzler is nowadays because he's become very famous. He was the beginning of his journey then. He already was a billionaire, but not a lot of people knew about him. And so he told his story, but I already knew Jesse Itzler because I had read his book, Living with a SEAL, which is also where David Goggins got his start, right? It was from Jesse Itzler. People don't realize that. But so he spoke at this event, and this event was about 35 people in the room. So it was very small, right? It was a small, like not like a big event. And I remember Jesse speaking, and when he stopped for questions, I raised my hand and I said, Jesse, huge fan. I read your book. I'd seen him speak at another event, and I said, I know you're a runner because of, Living with a SEAL. I said, if you're up for it, would you go for a run with me in the morning? And the whole room erupted in laughter. Like, I think it was partially like laughter and partially like, wow, this guy's got balls. And at first Jesse goes, yes, I will. And I was shocked. I was just trying to kind of just stir up the room. And then later on, somebody asked a question where he was giving an answer, which was why you have to control your time and how you have to learn to say no. And he comes back to me and goes, actually, no, I won't go for a run with you. And I'm like, son of a bitch, why'd you have to ask that question? And so after his speech, he's out in the hallways, taking pictures, talking to people. I went up to him and I said, Jesse, blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much. I'm serious. If you're going for a run tomorrow, can we go together? And he said, I'm not running right now. I've got an injury, but I only eat fruit before noon. And there's my favorite smoothie bowl place. It's like 3.5 miles away. Meet me in the lobby at 6 a.m. and we'll walk to the smoothie bowl place. And no, he gives me his cell phone number. He texts me in the morning, which I thought he was going to cancel. He said, I'm running late. Meet me at 6:30. Met him at 6:30. I ended up getting like 3.5 to 4 hours of one-on-one time with Jesse Itzler, a billionaire.
Wow.
I get back to the room that day. So I missed the morning session, but I get back into that room. All of a sudden, everybody was like, dude, like, holy, like, that's amazing. I can't believe you did that. I can't, and all of a sudden, like, just one little thing that I did changed the trajectory because now I was a nobody. Everybody wanted to talk to me. And then all of a sudden, everybody knows me. But what came from that, so I actually had a goal in mind when I did this. Having known now Jesse Itzler from watching and reading his stuff, the guy's all about challenges. That's how he met David Goggins. That's why he did Living with a SEAL. That's why he lived with monks. That's why he does these things. And I was thinking to myself at the time, what can I do to create content around a physical challenge? Because I was thinking to myself, I can't make myself known in this room of millionaires and billionaires with financial success, with business success. They'll never achieve where they are. And even if I do, okay, great. Congratulations. Thanks for catching up.
Right.
So I'm like, how can I get their attention with something else and inspire people? And so I had my own ideas of a challenge. I'm a runner. And I told Jesse when we went for our walk, he's by the way, great dude, man. He basically made it a therapy session, and he just started right out. Tell me all about yourself. Like, he was inquisitive and asking questions. It was an amazing experience. But I told him what I wanted to do. And he goes, that's good, but not good enough. And my goal was to basically say, I'm going to run a mile a day for an entire year. And he said, that's great. Now that I know you're a runner, here's a challenge I've done myself and never completed. And he said, the goal is you run the number of miles in the year that are the year. So this is November of 2017. And I said, okay, so let me think about that. So basically 2018 and 2018. He says, yes. He goes, I've never been able to complete it. I said, well, I just got challenged by a billionaire. I guess I got to try.
No kidding.
And so I did it. And I created a Facebook group around it. And I basically just documented the entire journey.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up getting like 250 people in the group. It wasn't anything that went viral, but what ended up happening was through the journey, which is a story in and of itself,
Mm-hmm.
I ended up battling through, and that's, again, I won't waste the time on this podcast with that story, but I ended up I did it. I actually ran 2,035 miles that year, and I documented the whole thing. It got picked up by a local news station.
Mm-hmm.
And because what happened in the beginning of the year, everybody was interested. Oh, this is interesting. Then it got kind of boring. It's just Jeff documenting his runs.
Mm-hmm.
Then towards the end of the year, people got back interested again. And so much so that a news station picked it up, did an interview with me at my office. They said, "This is so cool. Can we come out to your last run?" And I'm like, I hadn't really thought about doing a last run. They're like, "Oh yeah, like let's go to a park, invite all your friends." So I did this. Like 50 people show up to run a 5K with me to hit the goal. And it was really cool. But
Yeah.
I think that's really a defining moment in my career that put me on the map, that made me relevant to the people that have created life-changing opportunities for me.
Yeah.
And ever since, I'm now just I learned that you got to be persistent.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I learned was, don't be afraid to ask the question. What's the worst thing that happens if Jesse Itzer tells me no? Nothing.
Yeah.
But guess what? I was persistent. He said yes. I look back at that now as life-changing, because now Tristan knows who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Now Sam Karamian knows who I am. Now this guy who's just a lend, and by, mind you, I'm the only lender in the room of very successful brokers.
Yeah.
You know why I'm there, like
Mm-hmm.
for my, and they tease me every time we'd go out to drinks. Hey, Pfitzer's buying.
Yeah.
Like, screw you guys. Like, is that why I'm here?
Yeah.
But then at that point, I gained their respect, and ever since now, I've become really good friends with them. But from that, I leaned into video, I leaned into social, and what happened, Mike, is, just from a general perspective, is when I started doing video consistently and I started using social media consistently, my phone started to ring, and that's when that aha moment happened. So obviously there was the one side of it, which was relationships with very successful people, which, if anybody asks me, if a young person asks me what's one thing I should do, I say, get yourself in rooms with people that can squash you and be a sponge and find a way to become their friends. That's what I tell anybody, because it's a game changer.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening for me with video was real estate agents who, as a mortgage professional, we kiss your ass, we grovel, we do anything that we have to do to get your business. They started to ring me. And it was that light bulb moment for me where agents were calling me saying, "Hey, Jeff, you're the video expert. Can you help me with?" And I was like, I'm not a video expert. But then it dawned on me, like, oh, I am, because I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that from that point on, I just went all in. I started to actually study real estate brokers and brokerages, and realized there was a massive gap. They're not teaching this stuff. They're not doing it. And I'm like, this is going to be my thing. And so I leaned into video, and then it turned into social. It's now since evolved more into social than it has video. And here we are today. And now, honestly, I don't know if I told you this, but I'm officially shifting out of the mortgage business. I'm leaving my partners April 1st. So in a couple of weeks, officially. I'll still be very close to them and help them, but now I'm leaning all in on my media company, coaching, content creation. I'm building a platform for mortgage that they're going to bring to real estate agents. Something that doesn't exist, but my thing I've become very well known in the real estate industry, not the mortgage industry, which is weird. But I realized I've penetrated something that every lender on the planet has wanted to gain and hasn't been able to figure it out. And I just did it by kind of accident. And now I have all this influence in real estate, and you're my avatar, or you're the avatar to the industry that I've been a part of. And I've been since I have ownership in real estate, a couple of real estate brokerages, actually. I'm still obviously mortgage will always be my low hanging fruit, but I couldn't, my partners have teased me for the last year. He doesn't know how to spell the word mortgage anymore. Because all I do is help loan officers. I help loan officers grow their brand and their relationships with realtors. I help realtors grow their brand with consumers. I help brokers grow their brand with realtors. And so it's all funnels together. And now actually I now have 5 clients outside of real estate. So I actually, if you ask me, where are you going to be a couple of years from now? If I had to guess, I'll bet I'm doing more business with companies outside of real estate than I am in real estate, because I see it going there. Everybody's starting to realize we got to lean into this, and how do we do it? And so, yeah.
That's cool, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So let me ask you a question.
Sure. That was a lot to unpack.
Did I meet you through Evolve Your Brand? Did I meet you through Icon?
No, Tristan.
Okay. So you're gonna want to be on the Evolve Your Brand podcast, and I'll hook you up.
Okay, cool.
Because I just did that one a couple weeks ago.
Cool. Who's the host of that?
It's Oli.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know what?
Oli?
So that was funny. Oli used to work for us. And
really?
I did Evolve Your Brand's first live event in San Diego. I was their speaker, but I've not been on their podcast. But I will tell you that, yeah, so Tristan introduced us. Then somehow you were with Oli. My name came up, and Oli messages me, says, "Look who I'm sitting with." I'm like, I just got introduced to him the other day.
Yeah, we were having lunch the other day.
Yeah.
Right. And he mentioned your name, and I'm like, Jeff's coming on in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. How about that?
I'm going to be on Jeff's
on mine. Yeah.
Something like that. So, and then the other question, do you know John Ruhlin?
I don't think so.
Okay. John Ruhlin wrote a book called Giftology. You got to get him on your podcast. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
A lot of the approach that you're basically framing out for us right now is exactly how John thinks. So the way you're thinking is exactly the way that John thinks. So you guys would hit it off completely. I mean, it's no joke. Like,
I love it. I love an introduction.
Separated at birth kind of thing. No, I mean, so the way I look at it, you basically take what you're doing and try to figure out a way to take it to the next level. That's exactly what John does. So you know how you were in that room with Karamian and all those guys, right?
Yep.
By the way, Roland Frazier is coming on in April.
Roland's a good dude, man.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
that's going to be a good conversation.
Do you know Jeff Pfitzer?
I know the name.